watching other YouTube channels in other markets, we were like, wait, there is just this like playbook that like is crazy that no one has done yet in the running space. And that's all we did. We just like shared everything. And to tie that back into FAVES, the modern day celebrity is the one that is willing to share the most. It's the one that's like, they're the ones that are going to do the most. Like the Timothy Chalamet, Marty Supreme rollout. He was everywhere all the time, showing himself constantly. It is not the Johnny Depp that shows up randomly in a very mysterious way on the red carpet. It is, you're out there, you're speaking about it, and people want to know who you are, and the more you're willing to give, the more you're going to get back.
This is the Marathon Handbook Podcast. I'm Alex Cyr, and my guest today is a professional runner, a creative powerhouse, and, as of not that long ago, a tech entrepreneur. I'm talking about Sam Parsons. I first became aware of Sam back in 2018 when he and his teammates at Tin Man Elite documented their day-to-day lives as professional runners on YouTube. In my opinion, they were the OG content creators of the elite distance running world, and their influence spanned across America and beyond. These days, Sam is still fast. He now holds personal bests of 3:54 in the mile and 13:12 over 5K, and he's also represented Germany 3 times at the World Athletics Championships. Now, this was the first time that I actually got to chat with Sam, and it turns out that he's a quite surprising guy because on the outside, he appears incredibly chill and he has time for everyone. But at the same time, he holds down an absolutely bonkers schedule. He's a professional athlete. He has his own YouTube channel where he interviews fellow professional runners on the run. He's a creative partner at the running brand Tracksmith, and just recently he launched his own tech platform called FAVES.xyz, and we get into that in depth during our conversation. We covered a lot of other things too, like Sam's imminent move to one of the biggest cities in the world, his potential debut in the half marathon, his wedding planning, or lack thereof, which shoes he thinks are the best in the game, and the difference between being elite and sub-elite. We also both admit to being huge fanboys of Cam Levins. I really like my chat with Sam, and I hope you enjoy this conversation. So I'm catching you, Sam Parsons, in the most transitory year of your life. Is it fair to say that? I'm kind of putting words in your mouth.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a great way to say it for sure. And in the middle of it, I contemplated, like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about on this podcast yet because there are so many decisions and things that I'm still actively working out. So yeah, it's going to be a fun one to look back on.
I feel like you should choose where to start. So 2026 involves for you a relatively new sponsor, a new startup, a new home, I guess, a growing YouTube channel, recovering from injury, and an upcoming wedding. Which one of these things excites you the most? And there is a correct and an incorrect answer. Go.
Wedding for sure is the most exciting one. I get to marry the love of my life, someone that's been there for me through it all over the last 5 years. And she's done all the planning. And so I just get to show up and say a few nice words and hold back my tears and all that great stuff. So that's priority number 1 this year, for sure, in terms of like wanting to be present with her and wanting to be present during that whole process. Running inherently, like I've always hated the term when people are like, and my fiance is really good at reminding me of this also, where it's like saying that running is like a sacrifice, or like you have to like sacrifice all these things in order to like be great at running. And that absolutely is true. But at the same time, it is such a gift to be able to go out and do it at the same time. So I don't like to look at it that way. But it is something where when I look at this year, I do not want running to get into the way of all those precious moments where I want to be completely present and there for all those things that come up and arise and emotions. And I don't want to be like, oh, I need to actually do this. Like race is really important also. There are certainly races that I would like to run, but will not take a precedent as they have over the last decade.
So you and I actually have something in common. Not too much in common. I'm also getting married this year.
Amazing.
I'm also,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, I'm partaking in the planning.
That's why you got Houston out of the way. You've run,
Oh,
you smashed that half marathon. So,
look at you.
uh,
A
you
good
could,
guest always does research on the host. Oh
well,
boy.
I wanted to do Houston also, before that little injury flare up. And my goal was, if I could break 63, I would be super excited. And what did you end up running? You were right there.
63:11.
Right there. We would have
Yeah.
been, me and you, we would have probably been like kicking it in together. At least I would have hoped.
If you're kicking, I'm not there with you. But I think that, and I mean, I don't want to rub it in because you did miss out on a good day. The weather was nice. And I think if you were going into it trying to break 63, you probably would have been toying with 62. I think that was the trend with a few of us, as we were all kind of hoping for something like 64, and everyone tended to go faster. So the
Yeah,
half debut for you will, I suppose, wait for healthier times.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. So, wedding wise, because I need to get this question in before we move on, how do you balance running with wedding planning? Will it, or even just the wedding? Do you have a certain amount of miles that you're not allowed to cross on wedding week? Will you run on your wedding day? Have you thought about all of this?
Well, as I alluded to, my amazing fiance, Morgan, she is, I would love to help. I would love to help, but she doesn't need it. She's just on the ball with everything. She crushes planning. She makes these Excel spreadsheets that would make any, she'd probably get hired at like Goldman Sachs or Deloitte like in a minute if they got hold of it. But she's just on the ball, and like I was talking about, and I was like, it would be pretty sweet to like run Berlin Marathon. And she's like, oh, when is it? And I was like, oh, like it actually like hits like the weekend before the wedding. And she's like, you could do it. And I feel like she like knows me good enough by now that like if like she said no, I'd be like, but I probably should do it. But now that she's saying like, no, you can go do it, it's actually like, no, I shouldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
But probably zero. I don't plan to run at all the week of my wedding. So maybe like some jogs just to like break off like the stress and the nerves and things like that. That'll just be fluttering through my body, I'm sure.
Yeah, I feel like there's a healthy amount of mileage to run on wedding morning just to like get the nerves down.
Yeah.
Any more than that, you don't want to be crashing in the afternoon. And if you're doing a very long and hard run on wedding morning, you might be questioning why that is. So I feel like your approach is pretty good.
Yeah.
And so running wise, you alluded to potentially doing the Houston half marathon. That was in your potential future until it was an Achilles injury, I think, that you've been recovering from. What's the recovery process been like? I know that I've seen you running on your YouTube channel not that long ago, so it seems like you are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, for sure. I'm doing just like one run a day right now, not doing any doubles, so that limits the overall volume, but it's kind of like what I feel like I can like handle from a not taking 2 steps back every single time I go for like a run type of thing. And I think it's just it was just like paratendinosis, where it's I think I'm saying that right, where it's like the sheath of the Achilles flares up and swells up. So it's just dealing with like the swelling. It's luckily not like any like deep inflammation actually like in the tendon. It's like outside of the tendon. So it like just creates this like sensation where like that's when like people start like, you've seen like Jakob like cutting the back of his shoes and like doing whatever he can just to like get any of that like rubbing out of the way. I did I like did a double threshold workout after pacing CIM, where I left my Tracksmith Super Elliott racers after that race because they were just torn up and dead anyway. And then I realized I like didn't request another pair, so I did wear some brand new super shoes from a friend that gave me a pair that I will not be calling out here. But it just like, it's one of these stupid things where I'm like, gosh, I've been doing this for like way too long. not to know that it's probably dumb to wear a fresh pair of shoes that you've never tried before for 20 miles all of a sudden coming off of your longest run ever, which was that pacing there. But yeah, it's doing fine.
Good. You went through a hydro dissection procedure, and my turn to wonder if I'm pronouncing that word correctly.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. What is that?
It is where under an ultrasounded guided needle, they basically go in and break up any like scar tissue, like with the needle itself, and then they inject fluid, this like solution. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's something that I've done a few times in the past when I've had some like really these areas that just like won't let up no matter what, like with any other form of like scraping or just massage or needling, and it's just like persistent muscle that isn't like fluid is like a really great way to like clear stuff up. And like I said, like the Achilles sheath needed to start like gliding and sliding again. So like having that solution in there like allows it to kind of like give it a little bit of like freedom and wiggle room, and like basically sends all those signals to that area that like, hey, this needs to like heal properly. So yeah, it's something I know like Klecker did. I sent Klecker to go do it because I've dealt with Achilles stuff throughout my career in different ways, and I know it's really helped him also. So I know like Shockwave and these things are kind of like the fad with that sort of thing, and I've never enjoyed those therapeutic treatments in the way
They
I have
hurt.
had the success of hydrodissection. But I think so much of it depends on like as everything, just like having the right doctor. And when you walk into these doctor offices in Boulder and they just have like lines of like every Olympian ever that set foot in Boulder, you kind of rest easy knowing you're in the right place.
Mm-hmm. Are you now at a place where you feel like you can start to target races and make a plan for the year?
Yeah, for sure. In terms of like of where I'm at with like work-life balance, it's something that like not to switch gears, but like the FAVES tech startup life right now is taking up so much time. So like what I will look like from a professional running standpoint is something that I need to like really address and like define like how I want to go about doing this. I certainly am not planning to have like a conventional year in terms of what I've done in the past. Like I certainly would say I'm emotionally ready to be done with the Boston University, sound running, try to run fast enough to qualify for this, kind of like the conventional US track circuit, if you will, and then like hoping you get into certain diamond leagues throughout the year, and then going over to Europe in the summer. Like that's certainly what I will not do that this year. I want to flip the script and try new things and find fulfillment in other ways within this sport. And I feel like the roads are certainly something where are much more conducive to a work-life balance where you do have to, be putting in those 60 hours a week in order to do the things we want to from a growth standpoint. So with that being said, back to your question, I would love to be able to be ready for a New York half or a Berlin half even in March. But it's the type of thing where I sit where I'm like, there's no reason for me to be like, I need to do this. Like I need to like force this next 8 weeks to be absolute perfection, where the reality of the Achilles and the comeback from it is like, you just have to be smart about it. And I hope that everything clicks. Like I did my first workout on Tuesday back and I was running, 308 Ks, feeling like it was VO2 max. But a lot of that is just brushing off the cobwebs after a few weeks of just stagnation. But yeah, that's kind of like the early outlook.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you're kind of a rare bird in a sense because you're 31 right now, correct? And you've had a like almost two almost two Olympic cycles, if you want to call it that, on the track. And so I find that most people after that amount of time on the track have already moved up to the roads, whereas you'd be going up to the half having years of 230 kilometers or 240 kilometers for 5K in your legs, just testing yourself. Like, you must think that there's a lot on the table in a half marathon for you.
Honestly, I have very low expectations for myself in terms of like what my like I know I should be like really selling myself right now, but like I approach the roads, I feel like, and just longer distance in general, with just such humility that like I think I will be bad at them. Like I think there's a reason why, and obviously we've seen tons of people like have a lot of success and be much stronger road runners than they ever were track runners. And obviously it'd be great if that was the case, but I've also, you know, saw firsthand how hard Klecker worked, you know, in order to be a top guy on the road scene. And um, that took him time, you know, like, and like he said it himself, like in his newsletters, where it's like he definitely was surprised at like how hard um, the roads are and how talented that level really is, where maybe you write off that talent to people that are, you know, closing in 54 seconds on a track 5K. But in reality, it's like, well, going out in 4:16, you know, in like a 10-mile race or something is equally as insane, trying to then all of a sudden like piece it together after that, or like going out with Hillary Bohr or something. So hearing a lot of those firsthand experiences from him, I think definitely have brought me to that type of humility where like I want to approach it in a way that comparison is a thief of joy. And in today's running world, as the performance level is getting so high, as we saw with, what was it, 5 Americans going under 60 for the first time.
In
Now,
Houston here.
yeah, and with Rory running under 60, that's like the standard, you know, is getting higher and higher. And like, I want to be able to go into these new experiences with, I keep saying the same thing, but go into it with this humility that, hey, if my first one out is a 65, 66, I still should be proud of it, you know? Or if it's like, if I do run my first marathon and I run 218 or 220 or whatever, no, it's not at the standard of making a team, Olympic team, or qualifying for anything, but it's something that was an amazing experience for me and a process to push myself in a whole new way. I want to approach it that way. And I'm hoping that I can give myself that piece that I can still be proud of myself for that effort, even if the times are not sexy.
Mm-hmm. And going up in distance will be accompanied with a pretty rigorous work schedule. Like you mentioned, you threw in 60 hours a week, which is more than full time. That's a time and a half type of work schedule. And I feel like for as long as I've been aware of you, you've never just been Sam Parsons, professional runner. You were Sam Parsons, professional runner, who also is doing some creative direction, which I think you were involved with at Tin Man. Your role with Tracksmith seems to be somewhat multifaceted. Now you have FAVES, which I want to get into in a bit. Why is it that you seem to need more on your plate than just the running?
I think like early on, I figured out that the fulfillment I was going to get out of running was never going to be fully enough in just like point blank from that standpoint. And then the second part of it is that I think it's very healthy to have something outside of running that you are passionate about in order and to pursue, and to challenge yourself in other just avenues in order to be like a more well-rounded person when the time comes to have kids or to have, you know, like take next steps in life and just in general, where it's like I do kind of think that like there have been years, I would say, where I like really took a step back from the Tin Man Elite work, or from, you know, outside stuff. And like even like my agent at times would tell me like, Sam, like you gotta shut it down and like just focus on running right now. Like you're never gonna get this back. And during that time period where I kind of like shut down and like allocated work to other people, it didn't lead to me running better. If anything, it led to me obsessing over running to a point where it was like unhealthy for me. And I think that has raised the flags high enough for me to be like, hey, this is important that I have other avenues where I can, pour my heart into and emotion into in a way that I am not feeling like if injury happens or if lack of performance happens, I can find an avenue that outside of just this time on the clock that is supposed to define me.
So, what's the recent venture? Faves is a tech startup. You have your website up. It looks nice. You've partnered with a bunch of athletes who showcase and talk about their favorite pieces of gear. You can do the pitch better than I can. So, what's it all about?
Yeah, FAVES is a place where athletes come to do business. At FAVES, we believe that athletes are the most credible influencer in the world. And there's a huge discrepancy right now between how much money is being allocated to influencer marketing versus going back to athletes. And I think a lot of that comes from the current economy within athletics and how athletes operate and how they don't want to be promoting things all the time. So Faves was built out of this very simple idea that we wanted to create a platform that created that experience to be very easy for athletes to share and showcase all their product and also connect with new brands in a way that is completely seamless, where they can see all the data tracking, they can see exactly what their consumers and what their fans are actually interested in from a discovery process. And so then they can go back and sell that, so they can get better brand sponsors and they can make more money. And it can be this direct funnel where brands can come in and say, hey, if we sponsor Connor Mance, we're going to get our product in his Fave store and immediately validate it to all of his consumers to know that this is a product that he uses and he used to break American records with. And um, it was born out of these very simple ideas through this time period at Tin Man Elite, where I felt like the system of business within sport was archaic. The way brands were telling athletes, hey, go and post this, hey, you need to go share this promo code on your story. I don't think that works. I've experienced that myself firsthand. That system is very old fashioned, and what we've seen with other similar platforms as ours that cater to other influencers in the community at large is something that athletes needed. And that's why we built it. Yeah, is for
Yeah.
athletes to support them any way that we possibly can.
So, if I go on, let's keep Connor Mance or as an example, friend of the show. We go on his Faves page and we're curious to see what he wore for whatever marathon. And he says, oh, I wore the Alpha Fly 3. I click on the link and it will take me to say, for example, Dick's Sporting Goods or something that sells the Alpha Fly 3. Then I know that I can buy the product that Connor Mance used. Is the website kind of also made to create a bit of separation from Instagram? Because if I'm going on Instagram and I'm looking for a pair of shoes, I might get a recommendation from Connor Mance, but I also might get a recommendation from a number of Nike influencers and other influencers too. Was that kind of the idea to keep it separate?
No, I don't think that it ever was had the purpose of being separate. I think we wanted to create a really beautiful storefront, and it's something where we're hiring engineers like crazy right now in order to build an amazing product for athletes to regain control of their influence and regain control of exactly what they're doing. And that's at the heart of Faves and what we're working so hard to build. And with these Dick's Sporting Good links, we go out and find the best possible affiliate links for these athletes to make money, because it's something where at Tin Man Elite, for example, I never could track. And I'm not saying Faves can do 100% of this, but it certainly would have helped us so much with our own contract negotiations with Adidas and re-upping with Adidas to be able to show our true influence. I had no idea if how many people were wearing Adidas shoes, but very rarely through, 2018 in our inception to 2021 would go to, or 2023 when I left, like, four, getting my years mixed up, would go to a meet and not have someone come up to me wearing Adidas shoes or wearing a shirt or of some kind. And sure, we could show our Tin Man Elite sales, and that was great to showcase. But the thing they really cared about is their shoe sales, right? And that was something that, like, if I had FAVES and I was able to showcase that and showcase that true value that I was driving, who knows how much difference I could have made in negotiations.
Sure. I mean, you guys had the advantage, but also the disadvantage of being one of the first of your kind. Tin Man, back in 2018-19 especially, felt like a somewhat unique thing. And then it felt like in the years that followed, many other pro groups sprouted across the United States and beyond. And I think it's a bit of a disadvantage because I think you said it, there was no real way of knowing how influential that you were being. The YouTube channel was garnering a bunch of views and people were buying the merch, but it's still kind of an ambiguous figure, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Looking back at the Tin Man Elite, like, we built that off a very simple principle of, like, when Drew, Reed, and I would, like, talk in those early days, it was like, man, I really wish we knew what, like, Evan Yeager was doing. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally how we came up with Tin Man Elite. We were like, what is, like, Yeager, or, like, what is Ritz doing at, like, Nike Oregon Project right now? Like, unless FlowTrack went to go to, like, a Workout Wednesday or something with them, we had no access to, or no understanding of, like, what they were doing or anything. And obviously with, like, the rise of Instagram and the capabilities there, and, watching other YouTube channels in other markets, we were like, wait, there is just this, like, playbook that, like, is crazy that no one has done yet in the running space. And that's all we did. We just, like, shared everything. And to tie that back into FAVES, the modern day celebrity is the one that is willing to share the most. It's the one that's, like, they're the ones that are going to do the most. Like the Timothy Chalamet, Marty Supreme rollout. He was everywhere all the time, showing himself constantly. It is not the Johnny Depp that shows up randomly in a very mysterious way on the red carpet. It is, you're out there, you're speaking about it, and people want to know who you are. And the more you're willing to give, the more you're going to get back. And that's a lot of what FAVES gives athletes opportunity to, is open up the window to show what is the stuff you actually love, not just your sponsored items, but what is the stuff that you would love to be sponsored by. When I know those days are going to come very soon. We just launched a few months ago, but I can guarantee that within this next year, we are going to get athlete deals because brands go on someone's page and say, oh, wow, how cool is this, that this person is using our product already? Mm-hmm. And then they start working together because of this discovery tool that was available not only to the athlete, but also to the brands to figure out what is the best product and who are the best people that we should be working with to promote it.
Mm. And also for the listener who's not aware of Tin Man Elite, go on YouTube. There's a huge trove of videos. It was a pro training group for Adidas. How many of you were there in Tin Man? I want to say, like, in total.
Man, I was like, like, at our peak, there was probably like 15 of us. Like, it got as big as that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And the channel blew up. I would catch most videos. Most of my running nerd friends also would. And it had a whole reach. As for FAVES, I'm curious, is it an outreach process where you choose athletes to be involved, or are you, like, screening applications?
Yeah, we get hundreds and hundreds of applications for people to be on our website. And it is something where, like, we are selective on who is on our website. We have a really great system where we pay our athletes out in a way similar to YouTube, where we monetize their pages for them through this payout system where we are paying out for the traffic that they are driving. And because of that incentive, it's such a high incentive to be on our website. That is where the screening process does come into play. It's very similar to a Strava Pro badge, or if you're competing internationally or you have sponsors, We work with NIL athletes also that are aspiring professional athletes. There's a wide array and reasons like why we would accept or decline an athlete from FAVES, but at the end of the day, like we want to support as many athletes as we possibly can, and we want to be sure that the athletes that are on, I would say the greatest metric for an athlete that wants to be on FAVES is someone that we think that will be active with our platform, is someone that we think will engage with us, that will genuinely love and use it and can make a difference in their career, because they have this page access where they can constantly update, see all of their data tracking, see those product click links, and be able to have this experience with all of their brand sponsors that becomes very easy to promote all of them.
It's a cool niche that you're tapping into, because when I'm online, I will see the two sides of the spectrum in a sense, like a lot of influencers promoting products, but then on the other side of it, a more hands-off approach where product review websites or even just individual bloggers will make these articles with a bunch of affiliate links saying these are the best shoes of 2025. Whereas it seems like FAVES is kind of in the middle. It's asking athletes what they want without it being just the classic, you're an influencer and you have to make the same content as everybody else. That's pretty cool. On your comment of athletes being on the floor and having the most visible people take the biggest piece of the pie, so to speak, in 2026, you are practicing what you preach. While Tin Man is not necessarily pumping out videos, you've kind of gone off on your own. You've got a YouTube channel, you're growing it. Is this like, how much time out of your week is this taking? Because you do post videos pretty regularly.
Yeah, trying to post every single week. I was like very fortunate to have Tracksmith support to put money behind that YouTube channel and to start it. I think that was a big avenue where Tracksmith had no presence really, where there was any like consistent YouTuber. I guess I get to give myself that title. 5,000 subscribers now.
Is that what you need to be a bona fide YouTuber?
I don't know. Maybe you just need someone to ask you a question about your YouTube on a podcast, and then you get the stamp, and then I'll get something sent to me. I'll get the Marathon Handbook YouTuber plaque after, or something.
Oh, I think it's simpler than that. I think it's mastering the phrase, "Hey guys."
Yeah, there we go.
What's up, guys?
Like it.
I've been practicing it.
That's usually where I like to throw like whoever was in my video under the bus. Be like, hey, outro, come on, you got to do the outro.
Oh, your channel's hilarious because you have that's like, I think the key feature of it is you're really good at pulling people in, and you'll go for runs with you've had Connor Mance, Joe Klecker, Jordy Beamish, just off the top of my head, and it's not referencing any of these guys in particular, but there is a range of comfort on camera inside of your guests, because some of these dudes are just there to run, right?
Sure. No, I think that's like the heart of the channel. And like when I started first working on it, shout out like Asa, who is just an absolutely brilliant videographer. He's 20 years old now, but he's 19, and he dropped out of NYU to come out to Boulder, and he's staying out here now to continue working here in Boulder. But he's done an incredible job with those videos. And I told him early on, I was like, hey, like early on with Tin Man Elite, we never had a script. We just started filming and figured it out as we went. And I really want that to kind of be like the heart of this YouTube channel. Is I know a lot of people love, and they're great for the reason of the amazing storytelling depth that they have, where it's the Clayton Youngs of the world that are really diving into their emotion and the experience of this buildup. And I love that stuff. And I do want to do some deeper storytelling when the time is right to do it. But I wanted these videos to be incredibly digestible. I wanted them to really feel like you were on that run and getting access to just the normal banter, which is the stuff that like I want to see when I'm watching YouTube. Is like I want to feel like I don't want to watch like just an overly produced workout video anymore. I don't care how fast someone's running splits. I know it's crazy. Everyone's doing crazy workouts now, you know. I want to see the in between. I want to see the interaction between the coach and the athlete, you know. I want to see what their relationship is like. So that's kind of was my golden rule with Asa when we first started working together, is like, hey, let's just have some fun. Let's keep the camera rolling and like see what happens. And if we figure out like a feeling and a rhythm and a vibe to it, great. If not, we'll just keep throwing stuff at a wall and see what sticks. But with that being said, never letting the algorithm dictate what your content is, and making things that you're excited about making and you enjoy making is, at the end of the day, I think some of the best advice that I've gotten when it comes to content creation. And to answer your question directly, how much time we're putting in, it is very spontaneous to a fault now with like the work level. And it's, between the Tracksmith work, the professional running, the FAVES, and the YouTube channel, it's certainly too much, just to be perfectly honest, to try to manage all those things properly. So I would say the YouTube channel definitely takes a hit in terms of doing proper planning and outreach and figuring that out. So too many 10 p.m. texts to poor Asa being like, hey, 7:30, we're going to run with Klecker tomorrow, you know?
Right, because you
mics.
you need to be flexible for your guests as well, because you're always getting a new guest too.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't really reach out, or like, I should probably have it be more formal. Like, I am hoping to go to Arizona potentially in the next few weeks and do some fun videos out there also with some new faces. But same thing. It's just super casual, where it's just like George and I do that same double, 100 times a year from our house, because we live close enough from that trail. So it's like, hey, why don't we film one of these, and like, maybe I do ask a few more polished questions than I would otherwise. But other than that, it's very much off the script.
Well, you're giving me hope in a post-algorithm YouTube world where,
yes.
Because there is such a thing as playing the YouTube game and trying to hone in on something that works, something that pops, something that this channel made and got 100,000 views. And when the content is, weirdly enough, unscripted, sometimes I agree with you, it will pull me in a little bit more, especially after watching a million hard workout videos. Although you mentioned that those Evan Yeager flow track driven videos, they will have a special place in my heart forever.
Oh yeah. The best, dude. And that's the thing, is like the essence of those videos where it's like, I'll never forget, like the Nike Oregon Project getting like slushies at 7-Eleven after their long run. And it's like Dathan, Galen, you know what I mean? Like Salazar, like all these guys just like hanging out at 7-Eleven, just like exhausted. I think Lucas Puskedra was there.
Yeah.
Mo Farah. And it's just like, that's what I want to see. I don't care how long the run was. I want to see them hanging out, drinking Slurpees afterwards, and what the vibe is like, Yeah.
So
that is the heart of it all right there, for sure.
Yeah, the one enduring image of the Cam Levins driven video that really got... Oh my God. I think I was maybe in grade 12 or first year university at the time. The one image is the frozen milk and all the laundry on the ground. And at one point you realize
you can say the bloody toes.
Oh, well, yeah, now you're conjuring up something else. But
we would joke about that like way too much. Was like, Cam Levins is the only person, like the only athlete that like we've ever heard of that like would run like VO2 max K repeats in like freezing cold, just like dead spikes, as we call them now, bloody up his toes, and be like, yeah, like get like more than halfway done after failing the workout and being like, it didn't work out, I'll try again tomorrow.
Yes.
Like, no one else does that. Everyone else is like, no, like threshold, long run, reset, maybe you try it again the following Friday or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cam Levins is like, let me try to hit 240 again for 10 by K tomorrow in this same just like frozen temperatures. Like
it makes no sense, because like if you're doing 10 by a K, you finished 6, and you want to stop,
Yeah.
then any other person would say, well, I'll just do like a 7th or an 8th. And so I can call it a
Yeah.
day and not think about
Run
this
a
type of
little
workout
threshold and say you got the volume in and
that's
like
it.
count your chickens and
That's it.
be okay with it.
And he's like, no. And the flow track people were definitely like, it's okay, Cam. You know, you got a lot of Ks. We can fix it in post. It's going to be fine. Cam's like, fuck no, I'm not. No, you guys are here. I'm going to do it. Actually, I don't care that you guys are here. I'm going to do it either way.
Man, that's
Anyway,
great.
yeah.
Let's start a new podcast where we just live react to watching the like
The
old
2012.
like there's this new like trend right now of like everyone's 2016 like nostalgia being everyone's like golden year or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll reset it. We'll reset it.
God.
We'll start a whole new one.
Yeah. We can go back to I've heard this. 2026 is the new 2016, and I didn't really know what that meant until now. Yeah, maybe there is a market for this. I know there's like 5 people out there who would watch this pod.
I'm glad we found 2 of them today.
Yeah, and maybe Cam. I don't know.
No, Cam is not going to watch a single one. Cam's still doing K repeats. He's going to be way too busy to spend time listening or watching whatever we're talking about.
You're probably right. There's still a lot of high mileage. No, it's yeah. So no, video making is I think it's evolved a lot, and it's cool that you are still finding the time to do it inside of like your other pursuits. We've talked about FAVES, about your actual running, because that's at the core of all of it. And then Tracksmith. I'm curious about your role there too, because you're a Tracksmith athlete, but given that it's a smaller brand, an indie brand, being an athlete for Tracksmith probably doesn't quite work the same way as being an athlete for Adidas like you were before. How is it different to be a Tracksmith athlete and being one of the bigger fish in a smaller pond, let's say?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely different, like Adidas, like just let me do whatever I want with Tin Man Elite. And then they were like, oh, he's actually doing something. Maybe we should give him some more money. You know what I mean? It was totally, and then like we would do like better and better and better. And they're like, all right, maybe we should like help him marginally more. But like look, that's just like the nature of the beast, where it's like, you always want more, you always need more, you know what I mean? And it's like, what you get, what you're going to get. But with Tracksmith, the relationship is very rewarding, because you're working directly with the people that I was like dying to talk to at Adidas, where it's like, I chose to work with Tracksmith this year in large part because of Matt Taylor. I think Matt Taylor is just such an amazing person, first and foremost. Like, I remember meeting him in the very early years of Tin Man Elite, and Matt was just couldn't be more congratulatory, kind in the process of what we were doing, and he believed in it. And if you look back at like before Tin Man Elite, if you're a true Tin Man Elite diehard from day one, like Reed Fisher and like Tyler Mueller, like in the 10K at US Championships, when they were both like in the top 10, like they were both wearing Tracksmith singlets, before Adidas ever came into the fold. And there is like this picture that we still like adore of like I don't know, what we saw as like our big first moment in our first year was like those two finishing the 10K, embracing in these Tracksmith uniforms. And you see like Drew and I like in the stands, like just going crazy, but it just showed that team camaraderie that we like loved so much. And so those early origins, and that relationship. And that's why relationships in this sport are so important, is because this is such a small world, and you never know who you're going to, even though they might be competitors at one point, who knows you're going to work with at some other point. So, and I've always loved Tracksmith and their brand and the purity that they bring to the sport of running. And I certainly have learned a lot during my time with Tracksmith throughout this year. They gave me a voice in order to work on projects behind the scenes, and to work with the creatives within Tracksmith to bring some projects to life. And yeah.
Cool. Is it projects wise, is it more on like the branding side of things or more tech? Like, what are some things that you can help the brand out with?
Yeah, I would say that like this is not a mystery to anyone. Tracksmith loves being Tracksmith. Tracksmith has their brand they stick by it. I would say my first few weeks and months into Tracksmith, there was like the creative director, Olivia Rafa, left. And that was devastating for me, because I was so looking forward to working with him, and wanted to work with him, and I want to learn with him from like a product side. And then they brought in a new CMO. And then during my past year, he also left the company. So it has not been the most seamless, year for Tracksmith with all of these changes for sure. And it's something where like I would love to be more involved with product and other sides of the company, but primarily the stuff that I was given from a work standpoint was specific creative projects. When it came to the Twilight 5000 series, we're working with like HEPS this next year, and those type of projects in terms of like video production and how we can bring some projects to life in a new way for our feed.
The Tracksmith 5000 series is very cool. I attended the one that was in Toronto last year, and
Nice.
it really brings people to the track. It's a I can't remember if they call it Chase the Pace. Some similar events are called Chase the Pace. Basically, it's a 5,000 meter run on the track for everyone, because when you really think about it, 5Ks on the track are usually not for recreational runners or any male runners slower than say 16 minutes or female runners slower than 20 minutes, right? It's a pretty restrictive thing. Whereas these races get people of all speeds on the track and they just destroy their 5K PRs. It's a really neat thing to watch.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I think, one of the most beautiful things that Tracksmith puts a lot of money behind is to support those local communities, provide them with pacers, not just for the elites, but for everybody, from the person that's breaking the first 20-minute barrier for the first time or a 30-minute barrier. All paces are welcome at those races, and I think that's a really special one. And there's youth people that are, youth athletes that are competing also. So getting to like bring those different stories to life through a creative lens is something that was definitely one of the most rewarding projects that I was able to work on, is learning about that event and being able to, showcase the emotion that was behind all of those different PRs and stories that you may have never known about or care about, but to them, it's everything.
And on the performance side or the elite side, I know that in your most recent races, you were in Nikes, I believe. There's no Tracksmith spike just yet. Is that in the works? Is this part of the Parsons file?
No. I've told Tracksmith, no spikes. Had to wear Adidas spikes that I didn't like for way too many years. Their Nike is superior in spikes, and the spike market is definitely one that I would say is just not worth diving into for Tracksmith. Absolutely, but hey, never say never. I don't want to put words in their mouth. With all the new executives that are coming into Tracksmith right now, who knows? Maybe they are gonna say, hey, we need a spike. But yeah, we will see.
And you're going to be like, you better make it good. It's a really hard thing to do.
I'm Rhodes. I'm done.
Yeah, that's true.
Spikes either way, bro.
Fair enough. I remember for a few years, Nike just had a stranglehold on super shoes, right? 2018, 2019. And it was so tough for anyone who was not a Nike athlete, because
oh my gosh, dude.
You were a professional athlete while this was happening, though more focused on track.
So bad. I cannot tell you those years of like, I've actually never talked about this before, but like, man, the amount of like stress that we had, that we were like so falling behind, and we were like that was the thing. And every brand knew it. Like the fact that, Josh Kerr was wearing Nike, spikes, and like Brooks just had to like eat it, and like a lot of people were doing that. And it's just like, man, I remember like we were like clawing at Adidas to be like, please do something. Like we are getting wrecked right here, and we can't train the same way these other people are training, which is like and I remember some of the first super shoes where they just kind of like stuck a carbon plate in there, and there was like boost foam in the back still, and like it wasn't maxed out cushioning. Like they didn't figure out that it was like the cushioning is like basically everything, and the cushioning only works with the S curve plate and like all this other stuff, you know. um Man, we were like, yeah, we were in shambles. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like we got that first shoe and we like realized that it was like really bad still, and we were like, wait, this is the thing we're supposed to like go race Fifth Ave in and like do this or that, or like try to start doing these like longer workouts that we see everyone else doing now because of this shoe technology. Like, oh man. Yeah, that was bad. And I wasn't
Yeah.
even like racing on the roads. Like that's the crazy thing too, is like if I was like a marathoner during that time period, oh, that would have been so bad.
Yeah, I heard of so many stories of professional road runners just dropping their sponsorship to get those few
Yeah.
minutes because of the time. And you know, I sometimes I think that those days are over and that most big brands now have a world-class super shoe, but it also seems like the standard continues to change. So like I wore the Puma Fast R3s for Houston, and so did two of my friends, my teammates, and it really felt like it was a bit of an advantage over a lot of the other shoes that were on the start line. Though not everyone would agree with that. I don't think the advantage is as clear cut and strong as things were back in 2018, 2019. But
I would say, if I'm like really honest, I would say that is the unspoken best shoe on the market right now.
Mhm.
From like if like from what I hear from like other people that are wearing other competitor shoes, they kind of want to be wearing that one, from what I've heard through the grapevine. And that's the highest signal to me that it's like, that's the best one.
I saw a lot of Fast R3s on the start line, and I think that's just a product of them becoming more available finally, because even when they got out, I think it was last April 2025, it took a while for people other than just their very top pro athletes to use them and then to start spreading the word. On the Tracksmith side of things, I find that they will have a challenge in the next year or even few years because they have to contend with that on the roads. And then on the other side of things, they have an increasingly difficult task of being the cool brand. Because I think for a few years, they absolutely owned the style part of it. You totally said it. Like, Tracksmith is a very recognizable brand, and I still think that wearing Tracksmith means something, and someone will point you out in a crowd, be like, "Oh, this person's not just a runner, but they're a runner's runner." I very much believe that, and I'm saying this while wearing this Tracksmith fleece that I really like. But at the same time, there are these new companies coming out with similar types of messaging. I'm thinking of Say Sky, Bandit, that have like pretty good lines of apparel too. I'm curious. I guess you're a Tracksmith athlete, though. You're not the one making the calls of where they're going in terms of marketing, but I'm curious to know what will be the next step for them, whether it will be to double down into more of the like style, running leisure type of game, or even more so on the performance, or a bit of both.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that like kind of what I said before is that like I would say that I went into Tracksmith originally last year with kind of that perspective of like, all right, I'm going to be able to like, you know, really be a part of all these different processes, and really, you know, bring in kind of these new kids on the block energy in a way where I can do some of that. And then I would say that like I said at the beginning, like I figured out that like for sure that like Tracksmith has their way of doing things and the products they want to make them and the color palettes and everything that they do. So like I don't think any of that is going to like change anytime soon. I do know that they are going to continue to like invest in like the footwear space very heavily, as we saw like there's a new rider shoe coming out which is like a more max cushioned trainer, and I do think that that's like a big differentiating point within these other brands, whereas like a Bandit or I'm going to pronounce her name wrong. The site, what is it?
Say Sky.
Say Sky. They kind of rely on these collaborations with other brands in order to find the footwear component right now. I don't know if they have aspirations to do footwear stuff also. Um, but I would say that that's going to be a huge focus for Tracksmith, is to continue to lean into the footwear side of things in that market, to like figure out how to continue to improve their racing shoe, their everyday trainers, and continue to deliver new products in that regard. But but I do think that there is too much conformity, I would say, that I've seen with other brands. And I would say I'm at the point now where I would be almost sad to see Tracksmith all of a sudden try to start being the cool kids on the block in terms of like making, black and white, like, shirts with a lot of brand logos all over it and things like that, because that's just so against their DNA and who they are. And I do think that trends are very cyclical. And if you can survive through different trends, then it really shows your true brand power and the ground that you stand on. And I do think Tracksmith has a very strong base to stand on, like through all of the different trends that come and go.
No matter what happens, I don't want Tracksmith to get rid of their iconic camper van that seems to show up at every running meet.
That's not going anywhere.
Good. At the start of this podcast, I mentioned that you were in a very transitory year. There's one thing that we didn't talk about, and I'm not sure if you can talk about this because this was blurted out on your YouTube channel as of, I think, just a few days ago, but you're a moving man.
I am. I can tell you. I blurted it out because I wanted to like do a video at something, because I said it and then I was like, oh, like when I was like going through the edit, I was like, oh, maybe it would be like good to like maybe keep that a little bit mysterious so that we can do a video of like, I'm moving, you know what I mean? Like, yes. I'm leaving Boulder, and to like kind of like capture that side of it. But I'm moving to Los Angeles is the plan in June. So like I still have quite a bit of time in Boulder, and that's kind of why I didn't say it before also, is because I still do have like a full 6 months here to enjoy the trails and all the beautiful mountains. And I'll start crying in a second. No, I'm just kidding. I have been such a firm believer in that you need to go to grow, like you need to break out of your comfort zone at times in your life in order to throw yourself into new situations, whether that's with your job. I'm not telling anyone to like leave their partner or anything, but new places, new experiences, I think are essential for one's growth in life, in order to, like, going back to what we talked about before about just like being well-rounded and well-versed. And if you stay in the same town and, with the same people, that's your script and it's safe for sure. But I think that's limiting in some way. And I probably would, in my own respect, I love Boulder dearly, like I will always tout Boulder as the best place to live and train in the world year round. Sure, Flagstaff is great for 4 weeks out of the year. Go do your camp up in the mountains in the snow and drive down to Sedona and enjoy that time period. But Boulder is the best place in terms of culture and restaurants and having sport teams in Denver right in your doorstep, and just is such a beautiful and amazing community of elites and sub-elites, even though I hate the word sub-elite, and just a community as a whole. And it is where I've made my best friends, where I've forged, teammates, and, so many things that I will love and miss dearly. But relationships take balance. And when my fiance says, hey, I think it's time to try something new, like I want to be sure that I actually listen and lean into that also. So she came here and lived with me for 5 years. So it's her time to pick, and she has family in LA. And as we start to think about our future and family and, potentially starting a family, I'm behind now on 10-man elite, like we got Drew with 2 kids, we got Joey with a kid on the way, Reed's got a kid on the way, Connor's got a kid, I'm way behind now. So thinking about those things and where we want to set up shop is something we want to explore a little more before we just move inevitably back to Boulder. At least that's what I'm telling myself.
I was waiting for the Tin Man Daycare YouTube sequels, but
Well, right now it's just we're at least the talks on the runs are like we got to line this up. Like Drew's got to have a third boy, so that he can line it up with Reed's boy and Joey's boy, so that they can all win NXN at Niwot High School like they did this year and keep the tradition alive. Noah Drawdy's having a boy too, same year, all together. So right now we're seeing like Adam Goucher, Jude Ritz, like Colt Goucher, Jude Ritzenheim, like Adam Goucher and Dathan Ritzenheim's son.
yeah.
Run together on the Boulder running space. So we'll see. I think all of these, Reed and Noah will all stay in the Boulder area. But yeah, be a hell of a cross country team coming in the works. We'll revisit this in 15 years.
In 15 years time. And why LA out of all places?
Mainly for the reason of that is where her family is currently. So being closer to her family is something very important to her. And I definitely think that is a space where it'll be really great for me and FAVES. Like there are a ton of elite athletes that are in LA that I can work with directly. Like we certainly launched FAVES within running, but we're very active to expand within other sport verticals right now. Like that's a huge focus for me over the next few quarters. And LA is a hotbed for that. And people are constantly coming into LA. And I have no intention to this isn't breaking news, I'm sure at this point, but I do not plan to run till 2028 LA Olympics, but I would love to be there and be present and help in any way I can, boots on the floor. So that'll be fun also, whenever that rolls in. But yeah, sunshine and beaches, got to learn how to surf. And I've been getting into cycling in some of my cross training recently, and I absolutely love it. Like it's scary how much I like it, where I'm like, 2-hour bike ride up the canyon sounds way more fun than a 6-mile double right now,
I've seen you rocking those like weirdly small espresso shots on your Instagram, which means that you are escaping the running world rapidly.
Slowly but surely. Malibu Canyon is calling me, and maybe I can get seeded some cool bike product stuff, where right now my mom and father-in-law is just getting me Christmas gifts for cycling gear. But
and I mean, hey, a move to LA might not be bad for the YouTube channel. As far as guests go, perhaps you trade Klecker for Chalamet.
We'll see. We will see. It'll definitely be a whole new experience. So yeah, a lot of changes and a lot of things that I have learned over the years of studying the practice of mindfulness and stuff, is really trying to just stay present in the current and what's happening today. And it is very easy for me to get really anxious and really stressful about all of the different moving parts with everything. We're feeling like want to be doing a better job here, wanting to do a better job here. And I definitely know that I have some decisions to make in terms of like, you can't do everything great. So yeah, more on that will come out soon, but
well, let me see if I can add on to that stress right now and put you through a fast money round.
Let's do it.
Are you up for it?
I'm all about it.
You said you hate the term sub-elite. How fast do I have to be over half marathon for my co-host Michael to stop calling me sub-elite?
You are elite. I can stamp that right now.
Can you say that like a little bit slower so that we can cut it up in a reel and put... No, I'm just kidding. Okay. How many times are you allowed to post about your wedding on Instagram after the fact?
Seven times.
7 times?
Yeah. I'm going to go 7. Yeah.
That is so much. Oh my God. Unfollowed. No, I'm kidding. You do what you want, Good. 7. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. How do you know where to cut the invite list on a wedding? This is becoming like give Alex advice. I'm really struggling. I'm struggling with this right now.
All right. I have the best advice ever for you. You ready for this?
Yes.
All right. And this is like, I'm having a pretty small wedding. So this pertains to it. I wish I could have a 200, 300 person wedding and just invite all my college friends and everyone that means so much to me. And I have had to make really, really hard decisions that I hate doing, you know? But a thing that helped me, that hopefully helps you, is would you go on vacation with that couple? And if it's a no, or even family, I don't care. If it's a cousin and you're like, I would hate to be on vacation with cousin this person or this person, they shouldn't be invited. I don't care if you had Christmas with them growing up. They shouldn't be invited. If it's that case, if you're really trying to make a decision, which one would you have more fun? I should have said it that way. Which one would you have more fun at vacation with if you're deciding between two people? And it goes both ways. Like, do you know their partner well too? So there's depth to this.
Wow, you've given me something to consider. Okay. Let's switch gears. Toughest runner to race against?
That I've experienced like in my own personal career?
Yeah, for you personally.
Or who I think is the toughest?
Can be both. Who do you think is the toughest?
I mean, the toughest person to race is the person that holds all the cards, you know, where it's like they can sit on you and win, they can hammer you from the front and win. So like, I mean, Jakob is the boring answer, but he's also like one of the most fun people. There was like some French athletes that race really, really aggressively, and I know that in terms of like they'll never be comfortable in like a pack, you know, and it's the little things you maybe don't see. This isn't a speed round now. I should just riddle off a name, but I will say the toughest
can also be who you hate losing against.
Oh, that's easy. Who I hate losing against is just like the same people that are like, because like I live in this world of like right on the cusp of qualifying for Worlds or Olympics or not, and there's like 10 other people that are all chasing those same points at those same meets. So all of those people are the ones that I'll say. Mike Foppen is one of those guys, like in the Netherlands. Like he beats me way more than I have ever beaten him. So I'll give him the nod there.
Funny, no matter what level you're at, you have a list of people in your head who you feel like you should beat, right?
Yes, yes, for sure.
Best book you've read?
Ooh, the best book I've ever read is. Oh, I'm so bad at these speed round stuff. Damn it. Is Tyler Hamilton's book, The Secret Race.
Read it too. Fascinating. Kind of shocking.
Fascinating. It is shocking. Yeah, so good.
And very last one. What's the best movie you've recently seen?
I saw Marty Supreme recently, and I didn't enjoy that as much as I thought. I'm going to throw out Momentum Generation. If anyone has never seen that documentary, please go and watch it. It's at the heart of so much of those early parts of my career that it's about Kelly Slater moving to the North Shore and diving himself into pipeline and becoming one of the best surfers in the world. And I always tried to emulate that in my early years, moving to Boulder and throwing myself at, long runs with the CU team and pros, and just trying to make it professionally when I didn't have any business trying to pursue it at the time. So yeah, Momentum Generation.
And maybe soon,
documentaries of all time.
Okay, well then maybe soon you can emulate Kelly Slater in real life. And so I'm expecting to get between all of your wedding recap posts of November and December, I'm expecting to see at least one photo of you standing on a surfboard. I'll look out for that.
Okay, yeah.
Well, Sam, it's a pleasure to chat with you. You are an awesome guest. I have been following your stuff for a really long time. You always seemed like someone who was comfortable on camera. It's cool to actually chat with you and see it in real time. And I can't wait to see what you're up to next. Congratulations on the wedding. Best of luck with the move. We'll say that that's the Easter egg for any listeners who've made it to minute, I think, 54 or 55. The secret of Sam Parsons moving to another part of the United States. I wish you the best with that. And yeah, thanks again for joining.
Thanks, Alex. All the best. I hope you don't get any faster in the half marathon, so I don't have to have you be one of these people that I think about when I show up to the half marathon starting line.
You've called me elite, so I can retire now.
100% you are. 100% you are. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.